Let me ask you something. Have you ever had moments in your life where everything seemed to be falling apart, only to realize later that things were actually falling into place? Have you ever looked back and thought, I see it now. I see what God was doing. See, sometimes we ask God for a sign. We ask Him for proof that He's with us, that He's working on our behalf. But what if I told you that the signs are already there, that He's been guiding you all along, that even in the moments of pain, confusion, and struggle, God is helping you in ways you may not even recognize? Today, I want to share with you 7 undeniable signs that God is moving in your life. And by the end of this, I promise you, you'll stop doubting, you'll stop questioning, and you'll start trusting. Sign. Better ones are opening. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a door slam shut in your life? A job opportunity that slipped through your fingers, a relationship that ended when you thought it would last forever, a dream that just didn't work out the way you planned? If you have, you probably felt frustrated, maybe even angry. You asked, why, God? Why would you take this away from me? But here's what you need to understand. God doesn't close doors to hurt you. He closes them to protect you, to redirect you, and to prepare you for something greater. See, we get so attached to our own plans, our own desires, and what we think is best, that we don't realize God sees what we can't see. He knows what's behind that door. He knows what's ahead down that path. And when He shuts a door, He is not rejecting you. He is rescuing you. Think about it. How many times have you looked back on your life and realized that the thing you wanted so badly, the thing you prayed for, would have actually been the worst thing for you? That job would have drained you. That relationship would have broken you. That opportunity would have taken you off your purpose. And you didn't see it then, but now you understand. You see that God was protecting you, guiding you, and leading you to something better. Sometimes the closed door is the blessing. We don't always recognize blessings when they come, wrapped as disappointment. But what if that no was actually God's way of saying, I have something better for you? What if that closed door was actually a setup for something greater? God doesn't want you settling for less than what He has planned for you. And sometimes the only way to move you forward is to remove you from where you don't belong. Look at the story of Joseph in the Bible. He had a dream that he would be a great leader, but instead of stepping straight into that destiny, doors kept closing. His own brothers betrayed him. He was sold into slavery. He was thrown into prison for something he didn't do. But every closed door was leading him closer to where God wanted him to be. And when the right time came, God opened the door that no man could shut. Joseph became second in command in Egypt, fulfilling the dream that had seemed so far away. That's how God works. You might not understand the no today, but you'll thank Him for it later. Trust the process. God is preparing you. When the door closes, don't waste your time banging on it, begging for it to reopen. Instead, trust that God is shifting things in your favor. He is setting you up for something that is beyond your imagination. Think of it like this. If you're on the wrong train, wouldn't you rather get off at the next stop than stay on until you're completely lost? A closed door is God's way of redirecting you to the right train, the right path, the right opportunity. Your job is not to question why the door closed. Your job is to keep moving forward. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Ask, God, what are you leading me to? Instead of fighting to hold on to what's gone, open your heart to what's coming. A better door is already opening. The doors God opens, no man can shut. And when it's time for you to walk into your purpose, nothing and no one can stop it. So stop mourning the doors that have closed. Stop stressing over what didn't work out. If it was meant for you, it would have stayed. If it left, it's because it wasn't part of God's plan for your next level. Something better is coming. A greater opportunity, a stronger relationship, a higher calling. God is preparing it for you. But more importantly, He is preparing you for it. Trust Him. Keep moving. And get ready, because the door that's about to open will change everything. Sign 2. He removes people who are not for you. Well, let me tell you something. Not everyone in your life is meant to stay. Some people are seasonal. Some people are distractions. And some people, they are obstacles standing between you and your destiny. But here's the problem: we hold on to people longer than we should. We make excuses for them. We try to fix them. We ignore the red flags. And when they finally walk away, we cry, we beg, we question, why did they leave? Why did this friendship fall apart? Why did this relationship end? What if I told you that it wasn't an accident? What if I told you that it was God's plan all along? God will remove who you won't let go. See, when God is taking you to the next level, He will not allow the wrong people to go with you. He will expose them. He will shift situations. He will make things so uncomfortable that you have no choice but to let them go. Because He knows what you don't. He sees the conversations behind your back. He hears the jealousy in their voice. He knows the ways they are holding you back, even when you don't see it. And sometimes we pray for God to bless us, to elevate us, to take us higher. But when He starts removing people, we resist it. We cry over friendships that were never real. We chase relationships that were never meant to last. We try to rebuild what God has already removed. But let me ask you this: how can God give you better if you're holding on to what's breaking you? God separates you to protect you. Think about it. When you were a child, your parents probably told you not to play with certain kids. Not because they were being mean, but because they knew something you didn't. They saw that those kids would lead you down the wrong path. They knew those friendships wouldn't serve you. God does the same thing. He separates you to protect you. Maybe that friend you lost, they were speaking against you behind your back. That group you no longer fit into, maybe it's because they were comfortable with average, and God has called you to greatness. Sometimes God has to break your heart to save your soul. He has to remove people so you don't keep delaying your own blessing. Let go of who God has removed. Stop fighting for people who left you. Stop running after what God has released you from. I know it hurts. I know it's confusing, but trust me, if they were meant to stay, they would have stayed. If they were part of your destiny, nothing could have pulled them away. God does not make mistakes. If someone walked away from your life, their season in your story is over. And I know what you're thinking, but we've been friends for years, but I loved them. Listen to me, time doesn't determine loyalty. Love doesn't always mean alignment. Not everyone who starts with you is meant to finish with you. Some people were only supposed to be a lesson, not a lifetime. God is making room for the right people. When God removes someone, He's not trying to hurt you. He's making space for the right people to enter your life. The kind of friends who will celebrate you, not compete with you. The kind of partner who will love you, not use you. The kind of people who will push you closer to God, not pull you away from Him. But you'll never meet them if you keep holding on to what's already gone. So stop looking back. Stop chasing after what left. Instead, trust that God is clearing the path for something better, because the people He has for you, they won't need to be forced. They will come and they will stay. Let go, move forward, and watch how God replaces what you lost with something far greater. Sign 3, You're facing battles that should have broken you, but you're still standing. Let me ask you something. How many times have you been through something that should have destroyed you? How many moments have you looked back on and thought, I don't even know how I made it through that? You've had losses that could have crushed you. You've faced betrayals that could have left you bitter. You've had nights where the weight of life was so heavy that you thought you wouldn't see the morning. But guess what? You did. You're still here. You're still fighting. You're still standing. That's not by accident, that's God. Surviving battles you weren't supposed to win. See, when you are chosen by God, the enemy will attack you differently. He will come for your peace, your confidence, your purpose. He will throw obstacles in your way, hoping that one of them will finally break you. But what he doesn't realize is this: God has already covered you. That financial struggle, you thought it would drown you, but God made a way. That heartbreak, you thought it would destroy you, but God healed you. That storm you went through, you thought it would never end. But here you are, stronger, wiser, and closer to God than ever before. The fact that you are still standing is proof that God has been fighting for you. The enemy tried, but he failed. You weren't meant to break, you were meant to grow. Listen, I know it's easy to wonder, why do I keep going through so much? Maybe you look at others and think, they don't have to fight as hard as I do. But let me tell you something, the strongest warriors face the hardest battles. God is not punishing you. He is preparing you. You weren't meant to break. You were meant to grow. Every battle you faced has shaped you. Every loss has taught you. Every hardship has refined you. You are not the same person you were before because God has been molding you through it all. But think about it, if life had been easy, would you have grown into the person you are today? If you had never been tested, would you have discovered your true strength? God knows what he's doing. He allows the struggle not to destroy you, but to develop you. God's protection in the midst of the storm. You may not have realized it, but there were moments God stepped in and protected you from things you didn't even see coming. That accident that almost happened but didn't. That was God. Sign 4. He gives you strength you didn't know you had. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where you thought, I can't do this, but somehow you made it through? Have you ever faced a moment that should have broken you, but instead you found a strength inside you that you never knew existed? That wasn't by accident. That was God. See, sometimes we look at our struggles and think, I don't have the strength for this, but God sees it differently. He already placed the strength inside you, you just hadn't discovered it yet. The strength you never knew was there. But life has a way of testing you. It pushes you, challenges you, and sometimes it feels like it's trying to break you. And let's be honest, there have been times when you wanted to give up. Times when you thought, I can't take this anymore. But somehow, some way you kept going. You cried, but you kept going. You felt weak, but you kept going. You wanted to quit, but something inside of you wouldn't let you. And that something was God's strength working through you. God's strength works when yours runs out. The truth is, if it were just up to your own strength, you wouldn't have made it this far. But here's the good news: you don't have to rely on your own strength. God's strength is unlimited. It doesn't run out. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't waver. And when you feel like you've hit your limit, that's when his power takes over. In 2 Corinthians 12:9, God says, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Did you catch that? In your weakness, he is strong. That means when you feel like you have nothing left, God steps in. When you're exhausted, he renews your energy. When you're discouraged, he lifts your spirit. When you feel broken, he restores you. Sign 5. You start feeling a shift in your spirit. Have you ever felt something inside you start to change? A feeling you can't quite explain, but you know deep down that something is shifting. Maybe it's a sudden loss of interest in certain things, or a new desire to grow, to heal, to become more than you were before. That's not random. That's God moving in your spirit. When God is working in your life, the first place He starts is inside of you. Before anything changes on the outside, before new doors open, before breakthroughs happen, He shifts something within your heart, your mind, and your soul. A restlessness you can't ignore. One of the first signs of a spiritual shift is a restlessness that you can't explain. Things that once excited you don't feel the same anymore. The people you used to feel connected to now seem distant. The habits you used to enjoy don't fulfill you the way they used to. And you may not understand why. You may feel confused, uncomfortable, or even frustrated. But let me tell you, that's not a bad thing. That's growth. That's transformation. That's God calling you higher. See, God doesn't just push you into your next level. He prepares you for it. He starts by shifting your spirit so that when new opportunities come, you're ready. That means He will begin to change your desires. He will start removing things from your life that no longer serve your purpose. He will create a hunger inside of you for more. Your priorities begin to change. When God is moving in your life, your focus begins to shift. The things that once distracted you start to lose their power over you. You become more mindful of your time, your energy, and your purpose. You start craving peace instead of chaos. You start valuing growth instead of comfort. You start pursuing purpose instead of approval. And let me tell you, this shift can feel lonely at first. You may start pulling away from certain friendships. You may lose interest in conversations that no longer feed your soul. You may feel like you don't fit in with the same people anymore. But hear me when I say this, that's because God is setting you apart. He is removing what no longer serves you so He can align you with what's meant for you. Let go of what no longer feeds your spirit. Too often we resist these changes. We hold on to things that no longer fit us just because they're familiar. We stay in circles that no longer serve us just because they're comfortable. But here's the truth: you can't walk into your new season carrying old baggage. You can't embrace the future God has for you while clinging to the past He's trying to remove. So instead of fighting the shift, trust it. Instead of resisting the changes, embrace them. Sign 6. He places the right people in your life. Have you ever met someone and instantly felt like they were meant to be in your life? Someone who encourages you, challenges you, supports you, and helps you grow. Let me tell you, that's not a coincidence. That's divine placement. When God is working in your life, one of the clearest signs is that He surrounds you with the right people. These aren't just ordinary connections. These are people who are aligned with your purpose, people who will walk with you, uplift you, and help you reach the destiny God has for you. But here's the thing: before God brings the right people in, He often removes the wrong ones first. Separation before elevation. You might have noticed that some friendships, relationships, or even family connections have started to shift. People you once trusted may have betrayed you. Those you once leaned on may have walked away. It might have left you confused, hurt, or even angry. But listen, God is not punishing you. He's protecting you. Some people were never meant to go where you're going. Some relationships were only for a season. And when God is preparing you for something greater, He will remove those who are not meant to walk that journey with you. It may feel painful in the moment, but trust me, it's a setup for something better. Divine connections change everything. God doesn't just take people out of your life. He brings the right ones in. He places mentors, friends, and supporters who will pour into you, inspire you, and help you grow. These are the people who speak life into you when you're doubting yourself, hold you accountable when you're slipping, pray for you when you're struggling, celebrate your wins without jealousy or competition. walk with you in faith, not just in good times. These aren't just good people, these are God-ordained connections. How to recognize the right people. Sometimes we hold on to toxic relationships because we fear being alone. But let me tell you, being alone in God's presence is better than being surrounded by the wrong crowd. The right people will never make you question your worth. The right people will never encourage you to compromise your values. The right people will never drain you, they will pour into you. So if you have to force a relationship, if you have to beg for loyalty, if you feel exhausted instead of uplifted, that's not from God. The right relationships won't break you. They will build you. God will align you with people who fit your purpose. Like God knows exactly what you need, and He knows exactly who you need. He will place you in rooms you never thought you'd be in. He will introduce you to people who will open doors you never even knocked on. He will align you with individuals who see the greatness in you even when you don't see it yourself. But here's the key: you have to be willing to let go of the past. You can't receive what God has for you if your hands are full of what He's trying to remove. You can't walk into new blessings while holding on to old burdens. You can't meet the right people if you're still entertaining the wrong ones. Trust the process. God's timing is perfect. Sometimes we feel impatient. We wonder, God, when will I find my tribe? When will I meet the people who truly support me? But hear me, God's timing is always perfect. He knows when to remove, and He knows when to replace. So instead of chasing after people, chase after God. The right people will come when you're focused on Him. The right connections will appear when you're aligned with His plan. Because when God is working in your life, He will always send the right people at the right time to push you toward the destiny He has for you. Sign 7. He gives you peace even when things don't make sense. There's a kind of peace that doesn't come from money. It doesn't come from success. It doesn't come from people. It comes from God alone. This is the peace that makes no sense to the world. The kind of peace that keeps you steady when life is falling apart. The kind of peace that allows you to smile even when you're struggling. If you've ever been in a storm, if you've ever faced trials that should have broken you, but somehow, deep in your soul, you still felt calm, that's not just you being strong. That's God holding you. Peace in the middle of the storm. Life will throw storms your way. Unexpected problems, betrayals, losses, disappointments. And the enemy wants those storms to shake you, to make you doubt, to make you afraid, to make you give up. But when God is with you, the storm may come, but it won't shake you. The winds may blow, but they won't move you. The battle may rage, but you will stand firm. Why? Because your peace doesn't come from circumstances. It comes from the one who controls the circumstances. Jesus said in John 14:27, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid." That means even when things don't make sense, when you don't have the answers, when you don't know what's next, God's peace will carry you through. When nothing is certain, God is still in control. Maybe you're in a season right now where things aren't adding up. Maybe you're facing setbacks, closed doors, financial struggles, or health issues. Maybe you don't understand why things are happening the way they are. But let me tell you this, you don't have to understand the plan to trust the planner. God sees what you don't see. He knows what you don't know. And even in the uncertainty, He is still working. That's why you can have peace. Because you know that even if you don't have control over the situation, you know the one who does. Signs that God's peace is working in your life: you're not reacting the way you used to. Things that once upset you no longer shake you. You feel calm, even when life is chaotic. You might not have all the answers, but you're not panicking. You trust that what's happening is part of God's plan. Even when doors close, you believe better ones will open. You stop forcing things. You let go of control and allow God to lead the way. You find joy in the little things. You're not waiting for a perfect life to be happy. You're grateful in the now. That's what it means to have God's peace. Let go and let God. Worry steals your energy. Fear steals your faith. Stress steals your joy. But God's peace restores everything the enemy tries to take from you. So instead of stressing over what you can't control, surrender it. Give it to God. Let Him handle what you can. Because when you fully trust Him, when you let go of fear, when you stop trying to figure everything out, His peace will take over. And that peace will be your strength. Even when nothing makes sense, even when you don't have the answers, even when life doesn't go as planned, you will stand firm. Because God's peace is greater than any storm.